What is up, everyone? I'm back in the car. I'm actually driving the Bronco right now down to La Jolla in San Diego, California. I rent this car out on Turo, and actually not only does it pay for the car payment and the insurance for me to have insurance on this car, but it also pays for the payment on the Tesla that we have. That's more of a family vehicle. I feel really blessed, really excited to be able to do this because it's a great stream of revenue and it allows me to make money by owning this car rather than owing money, which is kind of cool because normally a car is a liability rather than an asset. So really excited about that. I wanted to hop on here really quick and just give you some of my thoughts related to timing, because right now there's a lot changing. I want to just chronicle some of this because I know that I'm going to want to look back and kind of know what I'm feeling like in this moment. And I have this very distinct sense that where life has been so far is going to change in some dramatic ways, but we're kind of entering the bottom of the next tier. And I want to explain a little bit of what I mean by that. I believe life kind of goes in these different stages. And if you continue pushing, you'll continue pushing through various stages, the various stages that you're in. You know, you might be in a stage first where you're in high school, you know, going to college, and there are going to be priorities and there are going to be things that you do, roads that you travel, literally and figuratively, that are going to coincide with that space in life that you're at. College, same thing. Getting married, same thing. Kids, same thing. And a lot of those things, like getting married and kids, are layered on top of other stages that you're in. And each stage has different lessons that we need to learn. And I believe that if you don't learn the lessons in the previous stage, but then you move stages, the lessons that you have to learn end up becoming harder and becoming more difficult because you didn't learn them at a more basic level, a more simple level. And so when you add complexity and you add maybe money and you add credibility, you add, you know, a career, a process in your career, growth in your career, you add promotions, you add these different things, all of a sudden that lesson, you have more to lose if you mess up. I believe timing is everything, and I believe right now we, both me personally and our business, we are at this stage where we're growing, we're entering the next category, the next level, the next stage. I want to take some time and think back and reflect back on some of the lessons that I've learned in the past stage, just to make sure that I absolutely have them down so that I don't repeat mistakes and so that I don't have to learn a lesson that I should have learned in the previous stage, in this stage that we're entering now. I want to share two of those with you today very briefly, and hopefully, you know, if you're listening to this and this is relevant to you, you know, you're able to take some value from it. I guess would ideally be the result here from me sharing it. Lesson number one for me is that leadership is about doing uncomfortable things and communication. And not just doing uncomfortable things and making the changes that are necessary and absolutely vital to evolve, but leadership is also about having the communication and having the transparency and having the honesty to communicate with people quickly and upfront about what you see happening. Because in the previous stage, far too often, I spent a lot longer with people than I should have spent, and I didn't spend enough time with other people who I should have spent longer with, not only helping them develop professionally or personally in our organization, but also just giving them feedback on what they were doing, what the work that they were doing was, and, you know, my level of satisfaction with it or not. And I feel like that really hurt me in a lot of different ways, because I would internalize a message or a bit of feedback that I really should have been giving to them, and it was neither fair to them, and simultaneously it wasn't fair to them, but it also wasn't fair to me, and it was very frustrating for me, and I have no one to blame but myself. So that's lesson number one, and I don't want to bring that into the next stage. Lesson number two for me, I have to be willing to work harder and set the example for my team and pay the attention and be more strategic with my time. I need to manage my time better, because in the past, I've done a lot of things, but all of those things haven't been the highest and best use of my time. I haven't, you know, done things that have leveraged my time as much as I should have. And so what that ended up, the net result of that is I ended up feeling extremely busy and feeling frustrated because I wasn't always productive. And I think a lot of us fall into that trap. You know, we do all of the things that we need to do, and certainly they're important and they need to get done, potentially. But you know, Alex Hormozi has said this phrase a number of times, and it really resonates with me. He said something like 80 or 90% of the things that we do don't matter. And you know, the implication there, and he said it sometimes, is that you know, you should spend your time focusing on the 10 or 20% of things that actually do really matter. Focus on those. And so what I know about this next stage is I'm gonna have to be better at identifying the things that matter and the things that don't matter for this stage. And I'm going to need to focus on those and relentlessly and ruthlessly block out everything else. And to do this, I'm going to need to clarify my priorities. I'm going to need to understand where my strengths are, where my weaknesses are. I need to hire people or ask for help in the areas that I'm weak. And then I need to sit and lean into my strengths and lean into the areas of the business that are going to be the highest leverage place so that we can actually grow. We are doing things right now that, you know, we're doing as again, Alex Hormozi says, we're taking on debt, you know, and it's not necessarily financial debt. There's some management debt, you know, there is some financial debt, there is some, I'm basically mortgaging the fact that we are going to have a very successful, productive future to pay for some of the things that I feel like are going to be the catalyst that help us grow. That's scary. That's really scary. That's really, really scary, honestly. I know maybe, I don't know where, you know, how you perceive me, but it may perceive that I have no problem taking risks and I'm an entrepreneur and things like that, but I actually tend to be pretty risk adverse. I want to step out, I want to be bold, and I want to focus on those two things, the communication, the accountability, and then also my own focus and channeling my actions to focus on the highest leverage activities that I can do and ruthlessly eliminating the rest. So those are the two things that I'm going to be working on for this next stage. Wherever you are in your cycle, whatever stage you're at, wherever you are at with the timing, I encourage you to not rush it. Like, lean into the lessons that you're learning, even if they're painful. Lean into what you're feeling, and don't just react off of your feelings, but try to have an awareness and an understanding of, okay, what are my feelings telling me? How does that line up with what I perceive reality to be? Then take all of those things and look at your goals. And you've got to set goals. You've got to have some future, you know, destination and place in mind, because otherwise your feelings and your emotions and your brain are going to tell you a bunch of different things as you get to certain levels, whether it's in business, whether it's in your career, whether it's in parenting, whether it's in your relationship. Your brain and your emotions are going to tell you these different things, and you've got to be able to compare them against where you want to be at the end result. Anyway, wanted to make this video for you as I am on my own journey, and if you're out there hustling and you're working from the middle and you're fighting from the middle because you want something better for your life, I applaud you, and I'm here for you to support you in that journey, and we'll see you in the next video.